Namaskar. I am Dr. Chitra Sethia. I am heading the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology at Apollo Hospital in Noida, and I've been practicing in Noida for the past 35 years. Today I've been asked to talk about something which is very current in today's day and age, that's COVID-19 and pregnancy. Now, COVID-19, when we came to know about it in January, we said, okay, it's some kind of viral infection. Then came one lockdown, then came the second lockdown, then came the third lockdown, and it is still not going. They told us first that it'll suppose finish by March end, then we said July end, then August end. Now I think 2020 is here, COVID is here to stay, and we still have to face it. So it is better we know how to face it and how to brave the disease as it is. If we are better off in our immunity and in our preparedness for facing the disease, I think we'll be much happier and safer. So, first of all, is a pregnant woman more susceptible to COVID? No. Every pregnant woman is as susceptible as any other human being. Only thing is that in pregnancy, you are more susceptible to even a common cold or something, and it's more dangerous for you because you have a baby growing inside you also. So you have to be more careful. So, what are the precautions we should take to face this corona? So one of the things is that you follow all the norms which have to be followed. One is social distancing. Maintain a 6 feet distance between anyone you're meeting. Don't go to any crowded areas. Don't go to malls. Don't go to crowded shopping centers. All of you are known, all of you are used to online shopping. So you're all good at it, and all of you are youngsters. So there should be no issue with that. Secondly is masks. This is a very important thing which we have to know is how is corona spread? It's through the mucous membranes. And where do we have the mucous membranes? One is the mouth, the nostrils, and the eyes. These are the mucous membranes which are most susceptible with which we get the corona. So if you're wearing glasses where your eyes are protected, if not, you have goggles. You have goggles on Amazon available, anywhere they are available, the plastic goggles, so wear those so your eyes are covered. Then your mask. Your mask should be covering your nose and your mouth. Clip the nose over here, wear it properly because then your nostril is covered, your mouth is covered. But what happens is when you come to meet somebody, you think that the other person is not listening to you. The first thing people do is get the mask here and then start talking. And that is not the way it should be. Remember this as every woman, whether pregnant or non pregnant, when you're talking, when you're with anybody, keep your mask like this. That is very, very important. With these three things covered, these three openings covered, you are relatively safe. And one very important thing is even with your hands, whatever you touch, unless you're touching these three areas, the infection is not going to get transmitted. So what you have to do is avoid touching it. And if you have your face covered and your eyes covered, your hands are not going to touch those areas, so also you are safe. So one thing we've said is social distancing, the other thing is masks. Secondly, increase your own immunity. How do you do that? With your normal exercise, have a proper diet, a healthy diet, and supplement with vitamin C, zinc, and vitamin D. Vitamin D is something which is very important because nowadays with your indoor staying, you're not getting exposed to sunlight. And as it is, the Indian diet is low in vitamin D, plus we are dark skinned. So because we are dark skinned, the absorption of vitamin D is also less. So you should start having vitamin D regularly. If you're not vitamin D deficient, you should have vitamin D every monthly at least. And if you know your vitamin D levels, if they are low, then you should have them weekly for 3 months and then monthly. Okay, travel, avoid travel in public conveyances, and if necessary to travel, try and use your own private vehicle. If you don't have a private vehicle and you have to travel through public conveyances, then wear your mask, wear your glasses, preferably wear a face shield, and wear gloves. Gloves, it's only because that when you're touching other things, though with hands with gloves on, you're not going to touch your face. Secondly, once you reach wherever you have to go, you can take off your gloves, throw them, wash your hands, and you're relatively safer. After that, now if you get pregnant, then what? If you get pregnant, is there any effect on the baby? Well, we are not sure about as yet. There has been no COVID virus detected in the amniotic fluid, in the vaginal discharge, or in the breast milk. But currently, there have been a couple of cases where babies have been affected in infected mothers. But as I told you, as doctors, it is too short a time to know if the babies are being affected or not. Currently, no babies have been born with any congenital anomaly. But developmental anomalies, we cannot say right now because developmental anomalies come on later on in life after 2 years, 3 years of development of the baby. And this disease has been there for a very short time, so we are not sure about that. Effect on the fetus. There has been no incidence that because of coronavirus or because of COVID infection in pregnancy, there is an increased risk of abortion. Plus, just because you get a COVID and you're pregnant, it doesn't mean you have to abort the baby. You can continue with the pregnancy as normally decided. Another thing people ask is that if I am pregnant, can I go to work because of the COVID scare? Well, if you can manage a work from home, your office does allow a work from home possibility, then take that, ask for that. But if you can't, then again, as I told you, all the previous precautions you must follow about social distancing, wearing a mask, using your own transport, carry sterilium with you. And when you reach the office, sterilize your table, your computer, your mouse, all that, and your phone. Sterilize all that. And when you come back home, follow the old Indian tradition. In the older Indian households, what we used to do is, even now in the South, I'm a Keralite, when we go to visit anyone at home, we have to keep the chappals outside. We wash our legs before, wash our feet before entering the house. If you follow these precautions, and the moment you come from outside, go straight to the washroom, take off your clothes, change your clothes, put them in the soap water, and have a bath. See, as doctors, I can tell you the minimum number of times we have a bath every day is 3, if not more at times. Because the moment we go back from work, we first of all, the things we do is leave our shoes outside, go in, have a bath, change your clothes, and then talk to anyone else or touch anything else. So if you follow these precautions, it is fine. And also in office, remember, no more shaking hands, no more hugging, nothing. Our old Indian traditional system of namaste. That's the best thing. Okay. Now, what if I get a cough and cold when I'm pregnant? Fine. If you have a cough and cold, measure your temperature, isolate yourself at home, consult your physician, maybe take a teleconsult, find out it could be an ordinary cough and cold, but if you have persistent symptoms, then definitely go for COVID testing. What if I develop a temperature, a new cough, or both when I'm pregnant? Again, consult your gynecologist. If necessary, consult a physician also before you take any treatment on your own. You have to have a teleconsult at this stage. Now coming to antenatal care. Once you are pregnant, under normal circumstances, we call a patient at the first idea of a pregnancy. The moment you miss a period, you definitely go to a gynecologist. After that, we call our patients every month for the first 7 months, then twice a month till the 9th month, and then weekly. But now, because of the COVID, we want our patients to stay at home. So the first consult can be a teleconsult. So you consult your doctor. She will give you the list of all the investigations to be done, including the ultrasound. Get all that done. Once you have all the reports in hand, go for a physical checkup with your doctor. You have all the reports in hand. So if there is any problem with any issue during any of those tests, it can be taken care of. She examines you once properly, and then your next visit can be deferred to later. The second visit is mandatory between, say, around 10 to 12 weeks. Because at this stage, between 11 to 12 weeks, 11 to 13 weeks, in fact, there are 2 tests which are done. One is the dual marker, and the second is the first trimester ultrasound. In this era of COVID, where we don't know if it is having an effect on the pregnancy or not, these 2 tests are very important because they rule out any congenital anomaly in the baby. And almost 80 to 90% of abnormalities can be diagnosed by these 2 tests. So if you get these 2 tests done, between 11 to 12 weeks, then you are safe. Your doctor is satisfied that the baby is safe inside you. So you can in fact go to your doctor, get it written down, because there are certain forms to be filled up and all before you can get the ultrasound and the dual marker done. And the test reports, you can always do a teleconsult and show the reports to the doctor. Next visit will be in the 5th month, that is between 18 to 20 weeks. That is when your routine hemoglobin is done again. If you had a thyroid or a sugar or something, those blood tests are repeated. And then this is another very important ultrasound to be done, which is the level 2 ultrasound, which is done between 18 to 20 weeks. Whatever abnormalities were missed out in the first ultrasound and the first trimester screening, most of it can be picked up during this screening. So these two ultrasounds are very important. You should go to a good ultrasoundologist, best is the fetal medicine specialist, to get these two ultrasounds done. And they are very time specific. That is why I told you very categorically that is between 11 to 13 weeks and this is between 18 to 20 weeks. So you have to make these two visits. After this, subsequent visits, you can have one visit at 28 weeks, that is in the 7th month of pregnancy, one at the 9th month, and after that, then as your doctor assesses you. If you have a medical problem along with your pregnancy, then you will be called in earlier, or maybe you can have a tele-video consult in between with your doctor. At any problem happens, you can come to Apollo for your checkup. How will coronavirus pandemic affect my routine antenatal and postnatal appointment? This is what I told you, that your appointments will be rescheduled as to come at a definite interval. You don't have to come so frequently. Now, are there any lifestyle changes advised because of the COVID? Yes, definitely. Due to hormonal imbalance, there will be a huge anxiety. So, do some pranayam, do some meditation before you sleep. Pranayam also helps, a plain Anulom Vilom pranayam also helps in improving your vital capacity of your lungs. And corona is something which is affecting the lungs. So if your lung oxygen carrying capacity is better, your vital capacity is better, even if suppose you get the infection, you can bear with it much better and your immunity level will be much better. Because what you do in your pranayam is close one nostril, take a deep breath and expand your lungs completely. Make sure that you're filling in air into your lungs completely, your lungs are expanded, and then when you're breathing out, the lungs compress out the air completely. So with this, you are doing two things. You are increasing the capacity of your lungs as well as increasing the oxygen intake into your body. So both these exercises and meditation, this also acts as a form of meditation. Because what is meditation? Meditation is concentrating on one thing. You don't have to do an om or you don't have to remember a name of God to meditate. You just have to concentrate on something. So even when you're doing a pranayam and you're concentrating on your breath, that you're increasing your lung capacity and getting it down, that is also a form of meditation. Do some antenatal yoga early in the morning. As I told you, if you're sitting indoors, your exercise capacity is gone, you're not walking, you're not doing anything. So learn some antenatal, we have antenatal classes in yoga, in Polo, follow those things. Or on the net, you have antenatal yoga classes, learn those exercises and do some walking inside the house. If you have a balcony, walk in that. If you have a terrace, go for a walk. Because walking is very important, and even in pregnancy, some form of exercise is very important to increase your own resistance also. Create positive affirmation cards for yourself by listening to music, watching positive movies, spending quality time with family members, maybe call your friends, talk on Zoom, talk on the phone, but communicate with people. It is very, very important. Otherwise, a lot of people are going into depression at this stage. And in pregnancy, you're not meeting people, you're not going out, you do tend to get depressed. And stop watching TV. The TV has only negativity. And I would advise all my pregnant people, don't watch the TV news. I think they exaggerate a far too things, and TV is always negative. They never talk positive. So think positive, listen to good music, read good books, and read some humorous stories and everything. Okay, now why have we reduced the number of visits to the hospital? It's basically for both the hospital health as well as the patient's health. Because the lesser number of times you come out of the house and into any hospital, the lesser are your chances of exposure to anything. And also, the hospital doesn't need to see all routine patients as frequently. Now, will I need to wear a face mask when I attend the hospital for antenatal appointments or have my baby? Yes, you have to have your face mask on constantly when you're in the hospital. Will I be tested for corona? Yes. This is very mandatory that we normally get it tested at around 37 weeks because after 37 weeks, anyone can go into labor. So we need to have the COVID testing done for the patient. It is safety for you, it is safety for the doctor, it's safety for the hospital, and most of all, it is safety for your baby because you are much more confident about handling the baby if you are COVID negative. What should I do if I'm asked to self-isolate because I have symptoms or a confirmed coronavirus? Fine, self-isolation is not something so great and so bad. If suppose you're asked to self-isolate, go ahead, go into a room, self-isolate yourself. You have your food served outside. You do everything there, but you continue doing your exercises, continue doing your yoga, continue doing your meditation, read, listen to music, all that you do. Only thing is you can't come to the hospital for a visit. You can have a teleconsult with your doctor when you are in isolation. And isolation nowadays is just for 14 days because even if you're COVID positive, they say that you don't need to have a COVID negativity before you are discharged from any hospital or before you're discharged from isolation. It is ideally 10 days from the first symptom or 10 days from the first test and plus another 4 days. So it is 14 days of isolation, which is mandatorily required. And 10 days post COVID positivity, you're no longer infected for everyone else. Now, will being in self-isolation for suspected or confirmed coronavirus affect where I give birth? Yes. If you are positive for corona, then definitely you have to go to a COVID hospital for delivery because if you're COVID positive, we cannot have you in the routine hospital with a potential source of infection for other patients. So there are COVID designated hospitals, so you have to go there for your delivery. Now, what about care after delivery? Care after delivery is also almost the same as you were following prior in your pregnant thing. Avoid people who are sick or who've been exposed to the virus. Anyone who comes in has to stay 6 feet away from you. Nobody who enters the room will come without wearing a mask, and you will also wear a mask. And blowing your nose, sneezing, coughing, all that don't do on the baby's face. Okay. Now, this is even if you are COVID negative. If you are COVID positive, then a lot depends on your pediatrician and in your gynecologist whether they will allow you to room the baby with you. If you have help around, then it is better that the baby can be roomed separately, but you can either if you have just asymptomatic COVID positivity, then the baby can be roomed in with you but kept 6 feet away from you. You wear a mask while handling the baby and you wash your hands nicely up to your elbows before you pick up the baby. Someone else is looking after your baby about changing the diaper, changing clothes, giving a bath, everything. The baby is brought to you only for breastfeeding, and at that time, strictly cleanliness to be mentioned, maintain your mask to be on. If the person is really ill and COVID positive, still the breast milk can be given to the baby because whatever said and done, breast milk gives the maximum immunity to the baby. So, breast milk should be given to your baby. It helps your baby recover things faster, get immunity much faster. And breastfeeding, I told you, these are the things to be followed. That any sneezing or anything should not be done in front of the baby, or if you get a sneeze, then you sneeze into your elbow. And definitely wear your mask before feeding, wash your hands nicely before feeding, and that's about it. Otherwise, getting pregnant and getting COVID also, we have patients who are COVID positive and who have delivered, and they've delivered absolutely properly. The babies have been normal, and nothing has been wrong with them. So two, three things we have to remember that one, we don't need to be scared of COVID. Okay. In India, we are lucky enough that whatever they are claiming it to be because of our BCG vaccination also. So because of that, Indians are suffering less because of COVID. We don't have the very severe disease. Our fatality rate, our death rate is very low. It's as low as 2.1% compared to the rest of the world. So that is good. And most of our patients are mildly symptomatic or asymptomatic, so they are okay with it. Two, three other things which you can do to increase your immunity are traditional Indian methods like haldi wala doodh. Curcumin is an active immunity booster, and they say that haldi doodh was traditionally given in Indian households as an immunity booster. And even now, you can take haldi wala doodh, but remember with haldi, with curcumin, there is pepper required. So whenever you have haldi wala doodh, add a couple of globules of pepper along with it because the pepper helps in absorption of curcumin. Secondly, your traditional kada of tulsi and ginger and peppercorn or dalchini and honey. This is also a very good immunity booster. This can be had if you have cold or cough or anything. Another thing is gargles and steam inhalation. These two things clean up your mucosa, mucous membranes. So they say if you go out and come back, you can do either a steam inhalation or you can do a saline gargle. All this also helps in increasing the immunity. So remember one thing, that COVID is not something to be scared of. What we have to do is we have to get ourselves prepared to face it if we do get it. And otherwise, it will go. These are diseases which come and go. We just have to be mentally, physically, and immunologically strong to receive it and to tackle it. Namaskar.